In the heart of Maduripur, a small, drought-stricken village, people had been struggling for 2 long years without a drop of rain. The once lush fields were now cracked and barren, and the villagers were losing hope. Rajan, a diligent bank officer, often warned the farmers about their unpaid loans, which only added to their misery. Among them lived a young boy named Rohan, whose parents had passed away when he was very young. He was raised by his grandmother, Savita, who had taken upon herself the burden of his upbringing. Unlike other children, Rohan spent his days wandering the village, seemingly without purpose, yet he had a heart of gold. "Rohan, get up! The sun is high and you've slept too long again," Savita scolded one morning. Rohan rubbed his eyes and yawned. "Just a few more minutes, grandmother." She shook her head, exhausted from carrying water from the distant well. "You're no help at all. I fetch water every day from miles away, and you can barely carry a pot." Rohan smiled faintly. "Don't worry, grandmother. I'll dig a well in the village. Then you won't have to make this long journey anymore." Savita chuckled skeptically. "Who has ever found good water here? You'll just tire yourself." But Rohan was determined. One day, while walking through the forest on the outskirts of the village, he discovered a hidden cave. As he entered, he found a lifelike statue of a sage. "Could this be real?" he whispered. Suddenly, the statue's eyes glimmered, and a deep voice spoke. "I was trapped in this form by a curse. If someone offers pure water at the sacred shrine, I can be freed." Rohan, always willing to help others, promised to do so. Using his knowledge of the terrain and a little ingenuity, Rohan dug tirelessly in the village, finally striking a spring of fresh, clean water. The villagers were astonished. Savita's face glowed with relief. "Rohan, you've done the impossible. No more trudging for miles to fetch water." The village celebrated, and Rohan quietly thanked the sage, who revealed himself fully now, granting him 2 boons in gratitude. "One boon can be for your personal benefit, the other only for the welfare of others. Choose wisely." Rohan pondered, realizing the gravity of such a gift. "If I use both for the village, everyone will benefit, but if I use one for myself, I must be careful." He decided to wait, visiting the city first to understand what he truly desired. In the city, Rohan observed the lives of the wealthy. He saw mansions filled with luxuries, people who wasted food while the poor struggled. He realized that wealth alone could not bring happiness. A woman named Anika, a kind-hearted social worker he met there, reminded him, "True wealth is measured by the happiness you create, not the riches you possess." Inspired, Rohan returned to Maduripur, ready to use his boons wisely. Back in the village, he found trouble brewing. A farmer named Banu, stressed by debt and drought, had taken a drastic step and was on the verge of despair. "Rohan, what can we do?" asked Savita. Rohan reassured him. "Don't worry, grandmother. I have the means to help." He invoked his boon, praying for the village's prosperity. Within moments, dark clouds gathered, and rain poured over the parched fields. Wells and ponds overflowed, and crops began to thrive. The villagers rejoiced, dancing and singing in the rain, their spirits lifted after 2 years of hardship. Rohan then used his second boon to aid the farmers even further. This boon could not benefit him directly, but was meant for others' welfare. He created a system where irrigation was ensured year-round, allowing crops to flourish, and debt-ridden families could repay their loans without struggle. The village of Maduripur slowly transformed into a land of abundance. Farmers like Banu, who had almost lost hope, now smiled, their fields green and prosperous. Amid this change, new characters appeared. Isha, a bright young girl fascinated by Rohan's bravery, became his companion in tending to the village needs. Together, they taught the children about farming, respect for nature, and community service.
Even city visitors like Anika came to Maduripur to learn about sustainable farming and water management, inspired by Rohan's selflessness. Through these trials and experiences, Rohan learned that wealth and power were fleeting, but acts of kindness and wisdom had lasting impact. Savita, watching her grandson grow into a responsible young man, felt a deep pride. "I always knew you had a special heart, Rohan, but I never imagined you'd become the guardian of our village." Months passed, and Maduripur became an example for surrounding villages. Farmers shared their water resources, schools flourished, and the once barren fields became a symbol of hope and resilience. Rohan's personal desires no longer mattered as much as the well-being of the community he had nurtured. One evening, standing by the newly dug well, Rohan reflected on everything. He remembered the sage who had given him the boons and realized that true blessings come with responsibility. He understood that the joy of giving, of creating happiness for others, outweighed the desire for personal gain. Isha joined him and smiled. "You've changed everything, Rohan. You've shown that even one person can make a difference." Rohan looked at the flourishing fields and the smiling faces of the villagers. "Yes, Isha, we've learned that with courage, compassion, and careful choices, we can overcome even the harshest drought." From that day forward, Maduripur thrived, not just because of the rainfall or wealth, but because of the spirit of its people, inspired by a boy who refused to let despair dictate life. And Rohan, once a carefree wanderer, became the village's true guardian, known far and wide for his wisdom, bravery, and unwavering kindness. The moral of the story is clear. True happiness and prosperity come not from self-interest, but from selfless acts that benefit the community. Courage, compassion, and wisdom can transform even the direst circumstances into opportunities for growth, hope, and lasting joy.